A green screenshot, a ticker, $5 million in calls just hit. Wall Street has to buy now. The replies fill with rockets. And the stock barely moves. So here's the mental model before we go any further. A gamma squeeze is a smoke alarm, not a fire. Sometimes the alarm means a real blaze. Most of the time, it's burnt toast. By the end, you'll have 3 checks to tell them apart.
Start with the trap. The exact same 50,000 call headline dropped into 5 different realities. Balanced flow, a quietly closing position, or a dealer who's actually long gamma. Each leaves almost no real pressure. Only one version. Genuinely one-sided opening demand leaves a lot. Identical headline. Opposite consequences. The headline alone can't tell them apart. The most common trap is thinking gross volume tells you what happens next. It rarely does. A screenshot of 50,000 contracts shows you a big number and hides the 4 things that actually decide whether the stock moves. First, for every contract bought, 1 was sold. The screenshot won't say which side the customer was on. Second, was it opening new risk or closing an old bet? Third, was it one outright bet or a spread where the legs cancel? And fourth, the hinge of the whole thing, what net risk actually stays with the dealers. That last one you simply can't see from the outside. And this isn't our opinion. Cboe, the exchange that actually lists S&P options, put it bluntly, using its own transaction data. What matters is the balance of the volume, buys versus sells, not the total size. Buy 50,000, sell 50,000 of the same contract, and the net new risk is roughly 0, however dramatic the headline looks. So here's the whole framework up front. 1. Net, not gross. Is the flow genuinely one-sided and opening or balanced and closing? 2. Room to matter. Is the stock thin enough for hedging to move it or a mega cap deep enough to swallow it? 3. Confirmation. Is price actually moving with the flow? Keep these in your pocket. Now let's earn each one with the mechanics. Just enough mechanics. A call is the right to buy a stock at a set price. Delta is speed, how much of the stocks move the option captures, and roughly how many shares a dealer needs to stay hedged. Deep in the money, it moves almost like the stock, a delta near 9/10. Far out of the money, it barely budges. But delta isn't fixed. Gamma is acceleration, how fast delta changes. The OCC literally calls it the acceleration of delta. Watch a dealer who sold these calls. As the stock climbs toward the strike, the shares they must buy to stay hedged don't rise steadily. They accelerate. 18,000, 44,000, 71, 96,000 shares. Each step up, a bigger buy. And here's the hinge of the whole story. A dealer who sold the options is short gamma. They buy as it rises and sell as it falls, adding fuel, so a move can feed on itself. A dealer who bought the options is long gamma. They sell into rallies and buy into dips, absorbing the move and smothering it. Same hedging, opposite signs. The sign of gamma, not the size of the volume, decides fuel or break. Make it concrete. Say a dealer sold 10,000 calls with spot just below the strike. Right now, that's about 600,000 shares of exposure to hedge. And the next dollar up, they have to buy another 44,000 shares, buying into strength, feeding the very move they're chasing. That's the engine. But notice, it only runs while that unbalanced risk survives in their book. Now, 2 camps. The cynic says it's always just noise. The believer says these loops are real and dangerous, and both are half right, which is exactly why you need the checks, because the loop can ignite under the right conditions. But far more often than not, the alarm is burnt toast. This is the section most squeeze content skips, and it's where the credibility lives. Massive volume, buyers and sellers offset. Millions in premium, it's a spread, one leg cancels the other. Huge spike, often it's closing old positions, not opening new risk. Dealers must chase it. They might be long gamma, so hedging dampens it. When you reach for gamma squeeze, pause, and ask whether a simpler story fits. Usually one does. No topic causes more squeeze anxiety than same-day options. The fear is intuitive. If gamma peaks near expiry, options expiring in hours must be the most explosive of all, and the volume did explode from about 5% of S&P options volume in 2016 to roughly half by 2023. The growth is real, but here's where the data gets clear. Despite that volume, Cboe found the flow is remarkably balanced. Over 95% of these trades are limited risk structures. Only about 4% are naked short options. So the net risk left with dealers is a rounding error, a small fraction of 1% of daily S&P futures liquidity. It even holds on the days commentators blame. August 15, 2023, the strike everyone pointed at traded more than 100,000 contracts and left market makers with only about 3,000 of net exposure. In fact, dealers were long gamma by mid-afternoon, dampening the move, not amplifying it. Cboe's conclusion, no discernible market impact. But one crucial caveat, and it matters. Everything we just saw is the S&P 500 index, one of the deepest, most liquid markets on the planet. Single stock same-day options are a thinner, far less studied animal. Don't assume the index's calm transfers to a small cap. So let's be honest about the famous cases. The S&P same-day data is the cleanest case against the panic. AMC 2021 is plausible but unproven. Analysts said hedging likely helped amid a frenzy of other catalysts. Earnings moves aren't a squeeze at all. Options price the magnitude. The news drives direction. And the implied volatility crush afterward is the giveaway. And then there's the one everyone cites. GameStop, the case everyone cites, and the one the primary evidence complicates. The SEC's own report stated it did not find evidence of a gamma squeeze in GameStop during January 2021. The options surge was mostly put buying, and market makers were buying, not writing. Calls, patterns, they said, not consistent with a gamma squeeze. They attributed the run to positive sentiment. Some academics still dissent, so the honest label is contested, not confirmed. So before you open any flow tool, come back to those 3 checks, and here's where each one lives in MarketDecode. Net, not gross. Options flow shows if the activity is genuinely unusual. Confirmation, price pulse shows if price agrees. A real catalyst, the story card. Does the signal fight the rest of the evidence? The AI decision flags it. What would reverse it? The risk watch list. And to be clear, MarketDecode doesn't predict gamma squeezes, and there's no dealer gamma dashboard. It helps you check the story. So flow becomes evidence to investigate, not a prediction to obey. A gamma squeeze is a real mechanism, not a meme label you paste on any green candle. Big options flow deserves your attention, not your obedience. The edge isn't reacting faster than everyone else to the screenshot. It's knowing what to watch next. Net or gross, room to matter. Is price confirming?
Hear the alarm, then go check whether anything's actually burning. If this changed how you read an options headline, do one quick thing. Subscribe to MarketDecode and tap like. One clear market story every single day.